a brainless creature. In 10 minutes, Mom will arrive with my sister and nephews, and you're doing a pedicure. I warned you, my husband yelled, kicking down the door to my apartment. He expected that I, like a servant, would obey and set the table for his relatives. But instead, he saw his things in the trash. But before I start, I'll ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. The phone vibrated on the table. Kira Grimes looked up from the monitor and glanced at the screen. A message from Greg. My parents are coming over this evening. Cook something. She reread it twice and typed a response. No. Less than a minute passed before the phone burst into a trill. Greg. Kira pressed the green button. What do you mean, no? Exactly what it says. I won't cook for your parents without warning. Kira, they're my parents. What's the big deal? Greg, I'm at work. I have a deadline. This evening, I plan to work on documents, not host dinner parties. But you're the hostess. It's natural. Kira felt something cold compress inside. My responsibility is to manage my agency. Want to see your parents? Meet them at a restaurant. She hung up. Greg called back immediately. She declined. Again. On the 5th time, Kira muted the sound and returned to the layout. Strange, she thought. Just 2 months ago, everything seemed right. They met in March at a mall in the electronics department. Greg Thompson came over to help choose a laptop. Tall, charming with a welcoming smile. A sales manager at the car dealership on the upper level. He invited her for coffee. She agreed. 2 weeks of texting. 3 dates, flowers, attention, compliments. After a month, a proposal. Kira was surprised but thought, why not? She was 38, he was 35. Both adults. They got married quietly at City Hall. He moved into her 3-bedroom condo downtown. He didn't have his own place. The first weeks passed calmly. Then little things began. He asked for keys. She made a duplicate. He suggested combining bank accounts. She refused. Annoyance flashed in his eyes. And today this text. An order. As if she was obligated to comply. Kira closed her laptop at 7 p.m. On the way home, she picked up a ready-made salad and rotisserie chicken for herself. The condo was dark. Greg returned around 9, tossed his keys on the table. My parents left. I said you were sick. Kira looked up from her tablet. I'm not sick. I wasn't going to cook without warning. Do you know how awkward that was? Mom drove all the way here. Then next time, give advance warning. You understand we're family. Family helps each other. Family respects each other and asks permission. Whose place is this? I live here. In my condo, which I bought 5 years before we met. Silence hung. Greg turned around, went to the bedroom, slamming the door. Kira returned to her tablet. Inside she was calm. She had set a boundary. Correctly. But something told her this is only the beginning. The next day, work went its usual way. A staff meeting, design layouts, calls to clients. At lunch, Kira went out for a sandwich and returned at 3. The receptionist, Vicky, called her over. Kira, a woman came to see you about 20 minutes ago. She said she was your husband's mother. I explained you weren't here. She left a note. Vicky handed her a folded sheet. Kira unfolded it. Messy handwriting, call me. We need to talk. Tomorrow. Kira folded the note and shoved it in her pocket. If she comes again, say I'm in meetings. Vicky nodded, but curiosity flickered in her eyes. In the evening, Kira stayed late. The presentation required refinement. She returned home around 10. Greg was sitting in the kitchen with his phone. Hi. Hi. Kira took out yogurt and sat opposite. Your mother came to my office. Greg looked up. Mom? Why? She left a note, wants to talk. And what will you tell her? Nothing. I'm not going to call her. Kira, maybe you shouldn't be like that. Mom is just worried. Let her worry from a distance. I have no desire to communicate with people who show up at my workplace without an invitation. Greg sighed but didn't argue. On Saturday morning, Kira woke up with a strange feeling. Something was wrong. She listened. Silence. Greg was sleeping next to her. She got up, threw on a robe, went into the hallway. A rustling in the kitchen. She pushed the door. At the table sat an unfamiliar woman, about 50, heavy-set in a house dress. In front of her was a mug of coffee and an open package of cookies. The woman looked up and smiled. "Oh, Kira, honey, good morning. I'm Tamara, Greg's mother. He said I could come by and see the place." Kira stood in the doorway, a strange woman in her kitchen, wearing her old robe, drinking from her mug. "Greg forgot to tell me." Tamara waved her hand. "Oh, come on, we're family. I already walked around and looked. The condo is nice, the decor is a bit dated, but that's fixable." Kira felt a cold wave inside. "Tamara, I'm busy. Let's reschedule." Her mother-in-law frowned. "What do you mean? I'm already here. I thought we'd sit and chat. So now you'll leave. Greg will see you out." Tamara's eyes widened. "You're throwing me out?" "I'm asking you to leave my home." Greg entered the kitchen, sleepy. "What happened?" "Your mother came without an invitation. I asked her to leave." Greg was confused. "Mom, you said you'd call first." Tamara jumped up. "Greg, honey, I thought we were family and she's throwing me out." Kira opened the door wide. "Goodbye, Tamara." Her mother-in-law flew out into the hallway. Greg rushed after her, saying something. Kira closed the door. 5 minutes later, Greg returned. His face was red. "Do you understand what you've done?" Mom left in tears. "No one enters my home without my permission. That's the rule. You broke it. It won't happen again." "Kira, she's my mother. She only comes here by my invitation." "Understood." Greg stood silently, then went to the bedroom. The rest of the weekend passed in silence. Kira occupied herself with her work. Greg barely spoke. On Monday morning, an unfamiliar number called. "Kira Grimes." "Yes." "National Bank. Your loan application for $18,000 has been approved. When can you come by?" Kira straightened. "What loan? I didn't apply for anything." "We have an application in your name. 3 days ago online. I didn't submit any applications." The voice became cautious. "Then it's possibly identity theft. Please come to our office." Kira wrote down the address, grabbed her bag, and rushed out of the office. At the bank, the manager checked the system. "There is an application submitted through your online banking portal. All information is complete." "I didn't do this. Let's check the IP address now." Pause. Keyboard clicks. The IP belongs to Premier Auto Mall. West Side location. Kira went cold. "That's where Greg works. Give me copies of the documents." "Cancel the application." "Of course, but you should file a police report." "I will." An hour later, Kira left with a folder of documents, got in her car, didn't start the engine, just sat. Greg, her husband, tried to take out a loan in her name. She drove home. Greg was at work until 7. There was time. At home, she checked his things. Closet, nightstand. In the bathroom, she found a folded piece of paper in a toiletry bag. A promissory note. "I, Greg Thompson, borrowed $15,000 from Mark Sanders, agreeing to return it by July 1st, with 10% monthly interest if not returned." Date February. Less than a month until July. Kira photographed it, put it back, returned to the living room. Laid out the bank documents on the table. Now to wait. Greg returned at 7, stopped when he saw the documents. "What's this?" "Sit down." He sat. Kira pushed the papers forward. "Explain." Greg took the document and paled. "Kira, this is a loan application in my name from your computer. The IP matches." "It's a mistake." I was hacked. Greg, you have two options. Admit why you need the money, and we'll solve the problem. Or I go to the police. Choose. Silence. Greg clenched his fists and lowered his head. I have a debt. What kind? Mark. $15,000. I borrowed in February. I thought I'd pay it back quickly, but the interest is piling up. It's already almost $20,000. Why did you borrow? For a car. They wouldn't approve me for financing. Bad credit. Mark gave it to me, but with interest. Kira leaned back. And you decided to apply for a loan in my name? I thought you wouldn't find out. I would have made the payments myself. You stole my information. Do you understand, Greg? Mark is threatening me. If I don't pay, he'll go to my boss. I'll get fired. That's your problem. I won't give you a penny. Deal with it yourself. But I'm your husband. Deal with it yourself. Greg jumped up. Kira, let's discuss this. There's nothing to discuss. You tried to commit fraud against me. One more time like this, pack your things. She got up, went to the bedroom, closed the door. Greg remained in the living room, then went to the kitchen. Kira heard him walking around, talking on the phone, quietly. She lay down, closed her eyes, didn't sleep for a long time thinking. In the morning, she got up early. Greg was still sleeping. She dressed and left for work. The day passed in the usual routine. In the evening, she returned. Greg was sitting on the couch. Kira, forgive me. I'll fix everything. We'll see. She walked past. They didn't speak anymore. A week passed. Greg behaved more quietly, came home, had dinner, went to his room, didn't try to talk. Kira was also silent. On Saturday morning, she was awakened by a crash. She opened her eyes, a child's scream. She jumped up and ran out into the hallway. The condo was a mess. 2 children were running around, drawing with markers on the white leather sofa. Toys everywhere. In the kitchen sat a young woman, about 30, with a phone, drinking coffee. Oh, hi. I'm Laura, Greg's sister. He said I could come over. I had urgent errands to run. They won't let me bring the kids. Kira looked at the destruction. Get ready. Immediately. Laura raised her eyebrows. What? We just got here. I didn't give permission. You have 3 minutes. What are you talking about? Get ready, or I'm calling the police. Laura jumped up. Greg, get out here. Greg came out of the bedroom, groggy. What? She's kicking us out. Kira, coldly. No one comes to my home without my consent. Get your sister and her kids. Now. Greg tried. Kira, come on, this is family. Your family, not mine. Laura grabbed the children and things and ran out. Greg followed her. Kira remained alone, looked at the sofa. Marker stains, toys on the floor, crumbs in the kitchen. She began cleaning silently, methodically. Greg returned an hour later. Kira was mopping the floor. Kira, one more time you bring someone without warning. You leave. Clear? Yes. He went to his room and didn't appear again until evening. Kira finished cleaning by lunchtime, tired, sat on the couch, closed her eyes. What was she doing? Why was she tolerating this? But divorce is complicated. Drama, lawyer's court. Maybe he'll change? No. Inside, she already knew he wouldn't change. But for now, she waited, watched, collected evidence. On Wednesday, she received a notification in her email. An address change form had been submitted. Tamara Thompson, to her condo address. Kira froze, opened the document. Her signature was forged. She printed it, put it in a folder, came home. Greg was still at work. She waited. When he returned, she was already sitting with the documents. Explain this. Greg took the sheet and turned white. It wasn't me. Mom did it herself. But you forged the signature. Kira, I didn't know. Mom asked me to help with some paperwork. I didn't read it. A lie. Why does she need to change her address to my condo? Greg was silent. Speak now. He sank into a chair. Mom wants to sell her house, move in with us, use the money from the sale to pay toward my debt. Kira smirked. No one will be changing their address here. And if there's one more attempt, I'm filing for divorce and pressing charges. Kira, everything. The conversation is over. She got up and went to the bedroom, locking the door. Greg stayed behind the door, tried to knock to plead. Kira didn't open. She lay down, pulled the blanket over herself, didn't sleep, just lay there. The decision was forming, slowly but surely. In the morning, she got up, got ready, left for work. Greg was still sleeping. At the office, it was a regular day. By lunchtime, Tamara came. The receptionist tried to stop her, but her mother-in-law burst into the office. You're keeping me from my son, won't let me see him. What kind of wife are you? Kira rose from the desk, calmly approached the door, opened it. Tamara, leave now, or I'm calling security. How dare you? Kira pressed the intercom. Security, please come to my office. A minute later, 2 guards arrived and escorted the yelling mother-in-law out. Kira closed the door and returned to the desk. Her hands were shaking. Vicky peeked in. Are you okay? Fine. Bring me some water, please. In the evening, Greg kept calling. Kira didn't answer, came home late. He was waiting in the living room. How could you treat my mother like that? Kira walked past. Your mother disrupted my workday. It won't happen again. If you don't apologize, I'm leaving. Kira stopped and turned. Leave. Leave the keys on the table. Greg froze. What? Leave right now. He stood in disbelief, then rushed to her. Kira, forgive me. I didn't mean to. Mom, just. You have one last chance. Your family doesn't interfere in our life. Ever. You set boundaries or you leave. I'll set them. I swear. Kira looked at him for a long time, then nodded. Fine. Last chance. Greg exhaled. But Kira already knew this wouldn't last. He wouldn't change, the family wouldn't back off, and then she would act decisively, permanently. A month passed. Relative calm. Greg tried. The family didn't appear. But Kira felt a storm ahead. She began preparing, collecting documents, all receipts, bills, bank statements, putting them in a separate folder. She opened an account at another bank, transferred part of her money, just in case. She wrote down a divorce attorney's phone number, found one online, read reviews. A good family law specialist. Greg didn't notice anything, or pretended not to notice. They lived like roommates, greeted each other, sometimes had dinner together silently, slept in the same bed but didn't touch. Kira waited for him to make another mistake, and he definitely would. And on Friday evening, Greg came home and said, Kira, on Sunday, Mom with Laura and the kids are coming. They want to have a proper family gathering. Kira looked up from her book. No. Kira, well, I'm giving you 2 days' notice. No, I don't want to see them. But why? Let's try to improve relations. I don't want to improve relations with people who tried to deceive me, broke into my home, trashed it. Kira, they're family. Your family, not mine. Greg nervously paced the room. I already invited them. They're coming. Kira, close the book. Then meet them alone. I won't be here. Where will you go? This is my condo. I'm not going anywhere. But you will go with them to a restaurant. Kira, be reasonable. I am reasonable. Someone who respects my boundaries. Greg left the room, slamming the door. Kira sat back down, opened the book, but didn't read. She thought, Sunday they'll come. Greg will try to pressure her, and she'll do what she should have done long ago. Put an end to this circus. On Saturday, Kira met with her friend Marina and told her the situation. Kira, why are you putting up with this? Get divorced already. I know. I'm just gathering my strength. Strength? You have plenty. You just feel sorry for him. Kira thought, no, I don't feel sorry. I just want to do everything right without mistakes. And what will you do on Sunday? We'll see. Marina shook her head. You're stubborn, but I get it. They said goodbye. Kira returned home. Greg was sitting with his phone, tense. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Mom, Laura, the kids. Maybe Tom, too. Kira nodded. Understood. And what will you do? You'll see. She went to the bedroom, lay down early, didn't sleep for a long time, planning. Tomorrow something new would begin. She felt it and was ready. Sunday morning began quietly. Kira woke up at 8. Greg was still sleeping. She got up, showered, dressed, sat in the kitchen with coffee looking out the window. A sunny day. Greg came out at 10. Will you cook? Kira sipped her coffee. No. Kira, but they're guests. Your guests, not mine. What will I tell them? The truth, that your wife doesn't want to receive them. You're setting me up. I'm defending my boundaries. He left, slamming the door. Kira finished her coffee, got up, went to the living room, sat with a book waiting. The clock showed 2:30. Kira heard Greg nervously walking around the condo, calling someone, cursing quietly. At 2:55, he approached her. Kira, I'm asking for the last time. Please, at least make some appetizers. Kira looked up. No. You'll regret this. We'll see. Greg turned and went to the hallway. Kira opened the book, read, waited. Ahead was something important. She felt the finale approaching, but that would be later in its own time. For now, she was just reading a book in her condo in her home, where no one dared tell her what to do. The doorbell rang exactly at 3. Kira didn't move. Greg opened. Voices in the hallway. Tamara. Laura. Children's laughter. Where's Kira? Her mother-in-law asked. She's busy. Busy? We drove all this way. She should be here to greet us. Kira heard every word, didn't move, read. Tamara went into the living room and saw Kira on the couch with a book. You're reading? And who's going to prepare the food? Kira looked up, calmly. No one. I didn't invite guests. Her mother-in-law was stunned. What do you mean, no one? We're here. That's your problem. Laura entered with the children. What's going on? Tamara pointed at Kira. She refuses to cook, sitting there with a book. Kira closed the book and stood. I didn't invite you. Greg invited you without my consent. This is my home. You are unwelcome guests. Please leave. Silence. Tamara gasped. Greg, say something. Greg stood in the doorway, pale, silent. Kira walked to the door and opened it. Goodbye. Tamara burst into yelling. Laura grabbed the children. They left. Greg remained looking at Kira. His eyes burned. You will remember this. Kira closed the door behind them, turned, went to the bedroom, sat on the bed. Her hands were shaking. That's it. The bridge was burned. Now there would be war. And Kira was ready. The night passed in heavy silence. Greg didn't return home. Kira lay in bed, looked at the dark ceiling, listened to the ticking of the clock. There was no sleep. Thoughts spun in her head about what comes next. Would he return? And if he returned, what would she say? In the morning, she got up exhausted. Shower, coffee, getting ready for work on autopilot. In the hallway, she noticed Greg's keys lying on the side table. So he left for good, or just forgot. Kira took the keys, shoved them in her pocket, left for the office. Monday began with a staff meeting. A new client, a large project, tight deadlines. Kira immersed herself in work. It helped not to think about personal matters. At lunch, Vicky brought her a salad. Kira, you haven't eaten anything today. At least a little. Thanks, Vicky. Kira poked at the greens with a fork. She didn't want to. She pushed the plate away. The phone was silent all day. No calls, no texts from Greg. Kira checked the screen every half hour. Strange feelings, both relief and anxiety at the same time. In the evening, she returned home. The condo was empty, quiet. Kira walked through the rooms. Everything in place. Greg's clothes in the closet, his razor in the bathroom. So he hadn't taken anything. She sat on the couch, turned on the TV for background noise, didn't watch, just sat. At 10 p.m., the doorbell rang. Short, hesitant. Kira went over, looked through the peephole. Greg stood in the hallway, dejected, with a shopping bag in his hands. She opened the door without removing the chain. What do you want? Kira, can I come in? Talk here. Greg looked up, red, swollen eyes. Forgive me. I shouldn't have acted that way. With my family. You're right. I did everything wrong. Kira was silent, looking at him through the crack. Let's start over. I'll change. I'll set boundaries with them. Honestly. Where were you? Stayed at Mike's. A buddy. I thought all night. I understand. I don't want to lose you. Kira reached for the chain, hesitated. Two feelings fought inside, anger and fatigue. Anger was winning, but fatigue whispered, why continue the war? Maybe he really will change. She removed the chain and opened the door. Come in. Greg entered cautiously, put the bag by the wall. I bought your favorite cupcakes from that bakery on Main Street. Kira went to the kitchen and put the kettle on. Sit. Greg sat at the table, wringing his hands. Kira, I really want to fix everything. Tell me what I need to do. Kira turned to him. Your family doesn't come here anymore. Ever. If you want to see them, meet them separately without me. Okay. No surprises, visits, calls. They don't interfere in our lives. Agreed. And you pay your debt yourself. I'm not giving you money. Not a penny. Greg nodded. I understand. I'll manage. Kira poured tea, put a mug in front of him, sat opposite. Last chance, Greg. Really the last one. One more mistake, and that's it. I understand. I swear. They drank tea silently. Then Greg took the bag of cupcakes and put it on the table. Red velvet. Your favorite. Kira took one and bit into it. Sweet, creamy. She used to love these cupcakes. Now the taste seemed bland. Greg stayed. They went to bed at opposite ends of the bed, didn't touch, just lay side by side. Kira closed her eyes, feeling she had made a mistake. She shouldn't have let him in. But what's done is done. The following days passed calmly. Greg behaved quieter than usual, came home on time, helped with chores, didn't make scenes. Kira observed, waiting for the other shoe to drop. On Thursday evening, she stayed late at the office. A major project required work. She returned home around 11. Greg was already asleep. Kira undressed and lay down. The phone vibrated. A text from an unfamiliar number. This is Mark. Your husband owes me $22,000 now. If he doesn't pay by end of month, I'm going to his boss. Thought you should know. Kira read it twice. So the debt is growing. Greg isn't paying. In the morning, she showed the text to Greg at breakfast. What's this? Greg paled. Mark texted you? How did he get your number? Doesn't matter. Why is the debt growing? I'm paying, but the interest adds up faster. How much have you paid this month? Greg hesitated. $1,000. With a $20,000 debt, that's nothing. I can't afford more. My salary is low. Kira put down the phone. This is your problem. I warned you. I won't help. Figure it out yourself. Kira, but if he goes to my boss, I'll get fired. Then find another job that pays more. You don't understand. In my field, it's the same everywhere. Kira got up and grabbed her bag. I understand one thing. You got into debt before we got married. You tried to solve the problem at my expense. Now deal with it yourself. She left for work. Greg remained sitting at the table, staring at his phone. On Friday evening, Kira met with Marina. Her friend invited her to a new cafe by the river. So, how are things? Has he changed? Kira shook her head. He's pretending, but the debt is growing, there's no money. Soon it'll blow up again. Kira, why are you putting up with him? Kick him out already. Soon. I'm just waiting for the right moment. Marina sighed. You're too patient. Not patient. Careful. I want to do everything right. They ordered wine and salads, sat, talked about work, about plans. Kira relaxed a little and returned home around 10. Greg was sitting on the couch with a laptop. What are you doing? Updating my resume. Looking for jobs with higher pay. Kira nodded. At least something. She went to the bedroom and lay down. She heard Greg typing for a long time. On Saturday morning, the phone woke her. A call from an unfamiliar number. Hello, Kira Grimes. This is Private Investigator Michael Torres. One of your clients referred me. I wanted to offer my services. Kira sat up in bed. What services? Surveillance, background checks, evidence gathering. If you need to find out something about someone. Kira thought, a random call or a sign. And how much does it cost? Depends on the assignment. Consultation is free. We can meet and discuss. Okay, Monday, 6 p.m. Riverside Cafe on Oak Street. Sounds good. Kira hung up. Greg was sleeping next to her. She looked at him. Maybe paranoia or reasonable precaution. Intuition suggested precaution. On Monday, Kira arrived at the cafe exactly at 6 o'clock. The investigator was already waiting. A man of about 45 in a blazer with sharp, observant eyes. Michael Torres? Yes. Please have a seat. They ordered coffee. Kira explained the situation briefly. Husband, debts, attempted identity theft, suspicious behavior. I want to know what he's doing, who he's meeting with, whether he's telling the truth. The investigator nodded. Understood. 1 week of surveillance. $5,000, including photos, video, detailed report. Kira didn't blink. Agreed. When will you start? Tomorrow. I'll need a photo, his work address, vehicle information. Kira provided all the details. The investigator wrote it down. We'll meet in a week. I'll show you what I find. They said goodbye. Kira left feeling that something important had begun. At home, Greg was making dinner. Spaghetti with meatballs. Where were you? Meeting with a client. Kind of late. It was convenient for them after work. Greg nodded, didn't ask further. The week dragged slowly. Kira worked, so did Greg. Evenings were spent in silence, each behind their laptop like roommates. On Wednesday, Kira received the first interim report from the investigator. Photographs. Greg leaving the dealership, getting in his car, driving not home but to another part of town, stopping at an older apartment building, going up to the 3rd floor. Next photo. Greg at an apartment door. A woman of about 30, blonde, in yoga pants, opens. They embrace. The door closes. Kira looked at the phone screen. Inside, nothing stirred. No pain, no anger. Just cold understanding. There it is. She read the report. Greg spent 3 hours at the blonde's place. Left around 9 p.m., drove home. Kira remembered. On Wednesday, he came home at 9:30, said he was delayed finishing paperwork with a customer. So he lied. She called the investigator. Who is this woman? I'll find out. I'll text you tomorrow. The next day, the answer came. Alyssa Carter, 29 years old, works as a receptionist at a hair salon, not married, lives alone. Kira saved the information and waited for the end of the week. On Sunday, the investigator sent a full report. Greg met with Alyssa 4 times during the week, plus regular meetings with his mother and sister at a diner on the outskirts. They discussed things actively, gesticulating. The investigator attached audio recordings. Kira turned it on. Tamara's voice. Greg, honey, we need to move faster. She'll kick you out sooner or later. The condo is hers. Greg, I know, Mom, but she's not stupid. She controls everything. Laura, maybe try to get her pregnant? Then she can't leave. Greg, she's on birth control. I checked. She takes the pills. Tamara, then another option. Now the main thing is to hang in there. Let her get comfortable, relax, and then we can go after the condo through the divorce. Kira stopped the recording and sat on the couch. So that's it. Everything is planned. A family conspiracy. She played the next recording. Another meeting, 3 days later. Laura, what about your Alyssa? Won't she be a problem? She won't. She thinks I'm getting divorced soon. I promised I'd move in with her. Tamara, just don't you dare actually get divorced. You'll lose the condo. Greg, I'm not an idiot, Mom. I'm just stringing Alyssa along. She helps with money sometimes. Laughter. Kira turned off the recording. She got up and walked around the room. Inside was strangely empty. No pain, no resentment, only cold contempt. So he's using not only her but also this Alyssa. And the family knows. All together. Kira saved all the files, copied them to a flash drive, put them in her home safe. Evidence collected. But she wouldn't file for divorce yet. Too early. She wanted him to show his true colors in front of witnesses, so that no one would dare say she was to blame. Greg returned home at 7 p.m., cheerful with a bag of groceries. Hi, I thought I'd make dinner. Bought steaks and vegetables. I'll grill something good. Kira was sitting on the couch with a book. Okay. Greg went to the kitchen. Pans clattered. The smell of cooking filled the air. Kira read. Didn't absorb the text, thought about her plan. Dinner passed calmly. Greg tried to make conversation, joked, told stories. Kira nodded, smiled politely. Inside, she was like ice. After dinner, Greg sat next to her on the couch. Kira, next weekend, let's go somewhere. Maybe a bed and breakfast upstate. Get away together. Kira looked at him. We'll see how work goes. Come on, try to take the time off. We really need quality time together to reconnect. Okay, I'll think about it. Greg put his arm around her shoulders. Kira didn't pull away, just sat, endured. At night, he tried to get intimate. She moved away. I'm tired. Another time. Greg sighed, turned away, fell asleep quickly. Kira lay awake, planning. Another week passed. Kira continued collecting information. The investigator sent reports. Greg meets with Alyssa regularly with family too. They discuss their plans. On Saturday morning, Kira met with this Alyssa, texted her directly, introduced herself as Greg's wife. Alyssa agreed to meet, apparently also wanting answers. They met at the same cafe. Alyssa came looking nervous, heavily made up. So you're his wife? Yes. He told me he was divorced. He's lying. We've been married 2 months. Alyssa paled. I lent him $3,000. He promised to pay me back. He won't. He owes another person $20,000. Alyssa covered her face with her hands. I'm such an idiot. I believed him. Kira took out her phone and played the recording where Greg talks about Alyssa, just stringing her along. Alyssa listened and went even paler. I could kill him. Not worth it. Better help me. Do you have texts from him? Where he asked for money? Yes. Send them to me. They might be useful. Alyssa nodded. Right there. She pulled out her phone and forwarded screenshots. Kira saved them. Thank you. What are you going to do to him? Kick him out when the time is right. They said goodbye. Kira left with another batch of evidence. At home, she laid everything out on the table. Photos, recordings, text exchanges, a complete picture of fraud and manipulation. She put everything in the safe and locked it. Soon, very soon, she would end this. On Sunday evening, a text came from an unfamiliar number. This is Veronica Chen, Greg's ex-wife. I heard you're together. I want to meet. To warn you. Kira frowned. Ex-wife. Greg never mentioned he was married before. She texted, "Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Riverside Cafe." Answer, "I'll be there." On Monday, Kira arrived at the cafe. Veronica was already waiting. A woman of about 40, thin with a tired face. They greeted each other and ordered coffee. Veronica began, "I was married to Greg for 4 years. From 2018 to 2022. Same pattern. We met. He was charming, moved into my place." Kira listened. At first, everything was great. Then debts, demands, his family constantly interfering. I paid off his debts for 3 years. When I finally understood what was happening and filed for divorce, he trashed my apartment, broke my TV, destroyed my clothes, made threats. Police. I reported it. They didn't believe me. No witnesses. Veronica took out a folder. "Here are promissory notes. He borrowed from me, never returned anything." Kira took the folder. A dozen IOUs. Total amount about $30,000. "Thank you. Be careful. When he's cornered, he gets dangerous." "I'm ready." They said goodbye. Kira left with a new folder of evidence. At home, she photographed everything, backed it up to the cloud, to a flash drive in the safe. Now she had more than enough, but she still waited. She needed the right moment when everyone would see who he really was. On Wednesday evening, Greg came home excited. "Kira, listen, Mom's birthday is coming up on the 5th. She wants to celebrate with family. You understand?" Kira looked up from the laptop. "Send her my regards." "What? We have to be there." "No, I'm not going." "Kira, it's my mother. Her birthday." "Your mother, not mine." Greg nervously paced the room. "Then let's at least have it here. We'll invite them over. You can make something nice." Kira closed the laptop. "No." "Why?" "Because I don't want to see your family. Ever." Greg turned red. "You're putting me in an impossible position." "That's your problem." He grabbed his phone and left the room. Kira heard him calling someone, talking heatedly. Then he returned. "Mom is really upset. She was crying." Kira shrugged. "I'm sorry, but my decision won't change." Greg left, slamming the door. He returned late at night, went to bed without changing. Kira lay with open eyes, feeling something brewing. The next day evening, Greg returned with Laura. Kira was at home, working on her laptop. Laura walked into the living room and sat down across from her. "Kira, let's talk." "About what?" "About Mom's birthday. Greg says you won't come." "That's correct." "But why? It's a family celebration." "Your family, not mine." Laura leaned forward. "Look, I know you and Mom have had some issues, but this is important. She's turning 60. Can't you just compromise this once?" Kira looked at her coldly. "Your mother came into my home uninvited, made scenes at my workplace, tried to commit address fraud to register here. Explain to me why I should celebrate her birthday." Laura looked confused. "Well, Mom was just worried about Greg." "There's the door." Kira pointed. Laura jumped up. "You're just... Greg is miserable with you. Exit, now." Laura ran out and slammed the door. Greg stood in the hallway, pale. "Why are you like this?" "I warned you. Your family doesn't come here." "Kira, this is impossible. You're destroying my relationship with my family." "I'm not destroying anything. I'm defending my boundaries. See the difference?" Greg was silent, then went to the bedroom, slamming the door. Kira returned to the laptop. Inside was calm, cold and calm. Several days passed. The tension grew. Greg barely spoke, looked gloomy, angry. Kira paid no attention. On Friday evening he came home and announced, "Mom insists. On Sunday, she's coming here with Laura and the kids. We're celebrating her birthday here. Like it or not, it's decided." Kira looked up. Decided by whom? By me. I'm the man of this house, and I've decided we're celebrating. Kira smirked. Man of the house. In my condo. I live here. I have the right to invite people. No, you don't. Greg came closer, looming over her. They're coming on Sunday at 3 p.m., and you'll be here. You'll have food ready like a normal wife. Kira stood up, looked him in the eyes. No. Kira, I'm not joking. Neither am I. They stood, staring at each other. Greg was breathing heavily, his hands clenched into fists. You'll regret this. We'll see. He turned and left. The front door slammed. Kira sat back down, took out her phone, opened the calendar. Sunday. So the day after tomorrow. She smiled. Fine, let them come. She was ready to show them all who the real owner was here. On Saturday, Kira specifically booked a nail technician for Sunday at 2 p.m. Pedicure. The technician was surprised. On Sunday? I usually don't work. I'll pay you double. Can I come to your place? Yes. Kira gave her the address. Then she called her neighbor, Mrs. Chin. Mrs. Chin, tomorrow afternoon there might be some trouble at my place. A confrontation. If you hear yelling or banging, please call the police. Kira dear, what's wrong? It's complicated. Just please be ready. Of course. Be safe, honey. Kira hung up. Now everything was set. She went to the bedroom, opened Greg's side of the closet, began carefully taking out his clothes. Shirts, jeans, suits, shoes, underwear. Everything into large black garbage bags. For bags total. She carried them out to the hallway and lined them up by the wall across from her door. Neat and orderly. She returned to the condo, checked all the locks, put the chain on, went to bed early, slept soundly. Sunday morning. Woke at 9 o'clock. Leisurely breakfast. Coffee, toast, fruit. She sat by the window with a book, reading, waiting. At 11:30, a text from Greg. We'll be there at 3 o'clock. Have everything ready. Kira didn't reply, continued reading. At 1 p.m., the doorbell rang. The nail technician, a girl of about 25, Ashley with her equipment case. Hi, I'm here for your pedicure. Come in. Kira led her to the living room. Ashley began setting up her tools. What color would you like? Red. Bright red. Perfect choice. Kira settled into the chair. Ashley began working. At 2:30, another text from Greg. We just left. Be there in 30 minutes. Kira put down the phone, extended her foot to Ashley. Keep going. Time moved slowly. At 2:55, Kira heard voices on the stairs. Children's laughter, footsteps. The doorbell. Loud and insistent. Ashley flinched. Should I get that? Kira calmly, no. Keep working. Ashley uncertainly picked up the nail file and continued. The bell rang again, louder, longer. Then pounding. Greg's voice from outside. Kira, open up. We're here. Kira watched her nails. Ashley was painting them carefully with even strokes. The pounding got louder. Greg was banging on the door. Kira, Mom's with me, Laura, the kids. Open up right now. Ashley went pale. Maybe I should. Keep working. Tamara's voice. Open this door right now, you ungrateful woman. We came for our son. Laura, the kids are excited for the party. Have you no shame? Kira, unmoved. Ashley, which red do you recommend? Crimson or burgundy? Ashley, in a shaky voice. Crimson. More bold. Crimson, then. Outside the door, a crash. Greg was kicking the door, trying to break it down, yelling, You brainless creature! In 10 minutes, my mother arrives with my sister and nephews, and you're getting a pedicure. I warned you. Kira calmly finished her tea and set down the cup. Greg kept pounding. The door was solid, wouldn't budge. Ashley in a panic. Should I call the police? They're already on their way. My neighbor called. Greg pounded for another 3 minutes. Then, exhausted, stopped. Silence. Kira stood up, walked to the door, removed the chain, opened it. In the hallway stood Greg, red-faced, sweaty, furious. Tamara in a fancy dress, holding a birthday cake. Laura with 2 children. Tom standing awkwardly to the side. Everyone froze when they saw Kira. She stood in the doorway, calm, fresh, in loungewear, with a half-finished pedicure. She looked at Greg coolly. You expected that I, like some servant, would obey and prepare food for your family, but instead you see your belongings in the trash. Greg followed her gaze and saw the 4 black garbage bags against the wall. He went pale, walked over, opened one. His clothes. Opened the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. All his belongings in trash bags. Tamara gasped. Laura, what is this? She threw out his stuff. Kira, ice cold. I'm not a servant. I'm not your property, and this is my home. Take your bags and get out. Greg opened his mouth. No words came. Tamara tried to push forward. How dare you? Kira cut her off. I dare because this is my home, and you are nobody here. 2 police officers stepped out of the elevator. Neighbor Mrs. Chun followed, pointing the way. Kira turned to the officers. Officers, this man tried to break down my door. Here's the damage. She pointed to the dents and scuff marks. And he's been threatening me. I have the messages. Officer, ID, please. Kira showed her driver's license and the condo deed. This is my property. He's not on the lease, not on the deed, has no legal right to be here. The officer turned to Greg. Your ID. Greg fumbled and pulled out his license. The officer checked it. You're not registered at this address? No, but I live here. I'm her husband. Do you have a marriage certificate with you? Greg reached in his pocket. Kira, coldly, we're in divorce proceedings. Here are the court filings. She handed over a folder. The officer reviewed the documents. So, petition is filed. Hearing is scheduled. You're technically still married, but the property is solely hers. She has the right to deny you entry, especially with threats involved. Greg, I didn't threaten her. Kira pulled out her phone. I have screenshots. You'll remember this. I'm not joking. You'll regret this. That's not threatening. The officer looked at the screenshots and nodded. That can be interpreted as threatening behavior. Sir, collect your belongings and vacate the premises. If you return without the owner's permission, we'll issue a citation. Tamara screamed, This is outrageous. He's her husband. He has rights. The officer, firmly, Property rights supersede marital status, ma'am. I'm asking everyone to leave now. Greg stood frozen, staring at Kira. In his eyes, rage, helplessness, hatred. Kira stared back, calm, victorious. Take your bags. Leave. Greg slowly bent down and grabbed 2 bags. Laura grabbed the others. They silently walked toward the stairs. Tamara went last, turning back, screaming something. No one listened. Kira stood in the doorway until they descended the stairs. Then she returned to the condo, closed the door, turned around. Ashley was sitting on the couch, hands over her mouth. Oh my God! Kira smiled slightly. Shall we finish the pedicure? Ashley, recovering from the shock. Yes, absolutely. Kira sat back down, extended her foot. Where were we? Ashley picked up the polish and continued painting. Her hands trembled slightly, but she focused. Kira sat calmly looking out the window. Outside was a beautiful sunny day. Spring. Life. An hour later, the pedicure was complete. Ashley packed up her supplies. Kira paid double in cash. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about all that. Ashley shook her head. Are you kidding? That was incredible. You're amazing. Kira walked her to the door and was alone. She walked through the condo. Quiet, empty, free. She sat on the couch and looked at her nails. Crimson polish. Bright, beautiful. She took out her phone and texted the attorney. Greg removed from condo. Police were witnesses, plus neighbor. Can we expedite the divorce? The reply came quickly. Excellent. This simplifies everything significantly. Hearing is Friday. Bring all documentation. Kira put down the phone, lay back on the couch, closed her eyes. It was done. It was over. She had won. But strangely, there was no joy, no relief. Only emptiness and exhaustion. She lay there until evening, then got up, showered, made herself a light dinner, ate alone, in silence. Outside, darkness fell. Streetlights came on. Kira looked out the window and thought, what now? They'll finalize the divorce. Greg will disappear from her life. And then, she'll be alone in this condo with this silence. Is this better than before Greg? She didn't know. The phone vibrated. A text from Marina. Hey girl, how are you? Haven't heard from you in forever. Kira typed. Kicked out the husband. Long story. I'll tell you when we meet. Reply. OMG, good for you. Come over tomorrow, let's talk. Kira smiled faintly. At least someone was happy for her. She went to bed late, slept restlessly. Dreams were fragments. Greg pounding on the door, his mother screaming. Garbage bags, police uniforms. She woke early with a headache. Took aspirin, drank coffee, got ready for work automatically. At the office, the day passed in a haze. Kira tried to focus on projects, but her mind wandered. Vicky noticed. Kira, you look exhausted. Maybe you should go home. No, I need to work. But by lunch, Kira couldn't take it anymore. She said she had errands and drove to Marina's. Her friend greeted her with a hug. Tell me everything. Kira told the whole story from beginning to end. Marina listened, shaking her head, gasping at key moments. Kira, you're a badass. I could never have done that. Not a badass. Just protecting myself. And you should. He got exactly what he deserved. They had wine and talked. Kira relaxed for the first time in weeks. In the evening, she went home. The condo greeted her with silence. Kira walked through each room. Everything in its place. No trace of Greg. Good. She sat with a book, read late into the night, finally went to bed. The next day, a text from the attorney. Hearing is Friday, 10 a.m. Be prepared. So in 4 days, Kira began preparing, organized all her documents, checked everything twice, selected a professional suit, rehearsed what she'd say if questioned. The days crawled by. Work, home, work, home. Greg didn't appear. Silence. On Thursday evening, Kira received an odd text from an unknown number. This is Tom, Laura's husband. Just a heads up. Greg's planning something for tomorrow's hearing. I don't know details. Just be careful. Kira frowned and texted back. What exactly? Reply, not sure. Overheard conversations. Tamara's been talking to some lawyer. Just watch out. Kira forwarded it to her attorney. He replied, don't worry. We have overwhelming evidence. Whatever they try, we're covered. Kira went to bed anxious, slept poorly. In the morning, she woke early, dressed in her best suit, applied makeup, looked at herself in the mirror. Pale, dark circles under her eyes, but composed. She drove to the courthouse, arrived 20 minutes early. Her attorney was waiting. Ready? Yes. They entered the courtroom. Greg sat with his lawyer and an unfamiliar woman, about 45, severe-looking in a business suit. Kira frowned. Who's that? The judge entered. The hearing began. Kira's attorney presented the facts. Fraud, debt infidelity, threats. Provided all the evidence, bank documents, recordings, photos, witness statements. Then Greg's attorney spoke. Your Honor, we'd like to call our witness. Judge, proceed. The attorney gestured to the unfamiliar woman. This is Dr. Ellen Morrison, a licensed psychologist. She's been treating Mr. Thompson for the past 2 months. Kira tensed. A psychologist? Since when? The woman stood. Your Honor, Mr. Thompson has been seeing me for psychological distress caused by emotional abuse from his spouse, constant belittlement, financial control, isolation from family. He's suffering from severe anxiety and depression. Kira's attorney stood. Objection. Where's the documentation? Medical records, treatment notes. The psychologist produced a folder. Here are my session notes. 10 sessions. Detailed documentation of the patient's mental state. The judge took the folder and reviewed it. Kira whispered to her attorney, "This is fake. Greg never saw a therapist." Attorney, quietly, "We'll handle this." The judge looked up. These notes indicate sessions occurred on Wednesdays from 6 to 7 p.m. Does the plaintiff have any rebuttal? Kira's attorney, "We request verification. We have reason to believe this witness may be fabricating testimony. Request a brief recess to investigate." The judge frowned. "That's a serious allegation." Recess granted. 15 minutes. Everyone filed into the hallway. The attorney made quick phone calls, speaking urgently. Kira stood by the window. Greg walked past, his look full of venom. After 15 minutes, they returned. Kira's attorney, "Your Honor, we've confirmed that while Dr. Ellen Morrison is indeed a psychologist, her license was suspended 3 years ago for falsifying medical records in a custody case. Her testimony should be deemed inadmissible." The psychologist went white. Greg's lawyer looked shocked. Judge sternly, "Is this accurate, Dr. Morrison?" The woman remained silent. "Judge, testimony is stricken from the record." "Doctor, you're warned that attempting to provide false testimony is a criminal offense. You may face charges." The attorney tried to recover. "Your Honor, we still maintain that." Judge, "Counsel, without your key witness and given the overwhelming evidence presented by the plaintiff, this case is clear. The marriage is hereby dissolved. All property remains with the plaintiff, Ms. Grimes, as it was acquired prior to the marriage. Mr. Thompson is ordered to have no contact with Ms. Grimes except through legal counsel. This ruling is effective immediately." Gavel strike. Kira exhaled. It was official. She walked out of the courtroom. Her attorney shook her hand. "Congratulations. You're free." "Thank you." Greg stood by the wall, staring at her, then slowly walked toward the exit without looking back. Kira watched him go, felt nothing, just empty. She went outside. Sunny, warm, beautiful spring day. Got in her car, placed her hands on the steering wheel, sat there for 5 minutes. Then started the engine and drove home. At home, she changed into comfortable clothes, took a long shower, sat on the couch with tea, stared out the window. The city continued its rhythm. People rushing, cars moving, life happening, and she sat alone in her condo, free, divorced. The phone buzzed. "Marina, well? How did it go?" Kira typed, "Divorce is final. It's over." Reply, "Yes. Come celebrate." Kira looked at the message. Celebrate. Be happy. But she didn't feel it. She wrote, "Thanks, but I need to be alone today. Another time. Marina, I get it. Rest. You were so strong through all this." Kira set down the phone, finished her tea, stood up, walked through her condo. Everything clean, quiet, hers, but somehow so empty. She went to the window, leaned on the sill, looked down at the street. 2 months of marriage over. She was back where she started. Alone. Only now with painful experience, with disillusionment, with walls around her heart. Could she trust someone again? Would she want to? She didn't know. Kira stepped back from the window, lay on the couch, closed her eyes. Ahead was life, work, friends, freedom. But happiness? Only time would tell. For now, she simply lay in her condo, in her home, where no one could tell her what to do anymore, where she was the only owner. And maybe that was enough. Or maybe it wasn't. Time would tell.